Happy Thursday! Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein, already coming into the show with a winner or two. Hell yeah! If you follow along at the propqueen.com newsletter, you could have cashed some winners as well today in the afternoon. I usually hate afternoon baseball. I have to say, I was really excited about it today. Sitting at home, getting some work done. It's a rainy day. I'm super pumped. I have the Yankees on at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. It was an absolute pitcher's duel between Carlos Rodon and Nathan Eovaldi. Yankees end up getting the dub, 1-0. Hell of a ride. It made up for last night, not because it was like such a bad betting night. It was a horrible night for any Knicks fans. Blech. Anyway, today we do have a great guest coming on the show. Stanford Steve is going to join the show from over at ESPN. You see him on Late Nights with SVP. You see him on all the college football coverage, college hoops he does. And we're going to talk a little bit of WNBA as well. He also hates some things going on tonight. So we'll talk about what Stanford Steve absolutely hates. I feel like the show's off to a slow start today. People enjoying some afternoon baseball. I mean, it's not that great of weather out here, but anyway, Gabe Morency is like not happy right now. Why is he? Anyway, I have to stop paying attention to social media while I'm on here. Yesterday, Knicks lost. They absolutely choked, as you saw from Tyrese Halliburton. I actually thought that Hallie was going to completely mush the Pacers with that choke job. Thought that, once he was in the heat of the moment, thought that was a no-doubter three. The Knicks lose. And here's what's crazy. So David Purdom from over at ESPN said since 1998, NBA teams that trailed by 9 or more in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game were 0-1,414. The Knicks led the Pacers 121-112 with 58 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter and lost. That's what happens when you have a crappy perimeter defense that doesn't know how the hell to defend the three, and you get lazy and you take your foot off the gas. It wasn't even so much taking their foot off the gas as it was not being able to stomp on the brakes for Indiana. Just an absolute abomination. So David, of course, was sitting courtside. And for anyone that doesn't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, I am so sorry for you. Worldwide Rob Perez, great friend of mine, he said what his Curb Your Enthusiasm episode would have been if he was at the Knicks game like he was courtside next to Susie. Larry thinks game is over and leaves to get something to eat, hurries back to the seat in a final minute, rushes eating his food, chokes, grabs neck. Suze yells at him to cut it out. You can't make that sign here. Halliburton sees it, and Halliburton chokes. I thought it was funny. That was really freaking funny. Anyway, so the Prop Queen newsletter, where it went right yesterday. The fishy line, it cashed. Toronto Blue Jays absolutely crushed the San Diego Padres 14-0. That game was a day game today, and I actually turned it off when it was in extra innings because I had to get onto the show. But Toronto ended up winning 7-6 in the 11th, which is crazy because now the Padres are on a, I think, 5-game losing streak. Yikes. No bueno. And it was the first time in 34 at-bats that the Padres scored with runners in scoring position today. On to basketball, the Knicks center Karl Anthony Towns, he hit the royal lock, went over 33.5 points plus rebounds with 35 points and 12 boards. So Cat ends up going over the points plus rebounds prop with just his points prop. Great day for him at the Garden. Bigs continue to have success against the Pacers, especially in game ones. Jalen Brunson continued to have success. Guards have also been doing really well against Indiana. He crushed them with 43 points despite the loss. Donovan Mitchell was averaging 34 points a game against Indiana the last round. So just something to keep an eye on. Jalen Brunson, obviously at the Garden, he's a play. Curious how the numbers are going to change as they get to game 3 and they go to Indiana. But Jalen Brunson could be a play for the entire series. Brunson went under his assist prop, 7.5. He only had 5. That was another thing with Brunson that I mentioned in the show yesterday. Jalen Brunson, his points look really good, but the assists definitely drop off when he faces the Pacers. Definitely takes more of the offensive role, of course. But with Cat's inconsistencies, Brunson being more like this. I don't mind fading Brunson assists and just looking at his points. Josh Hart, a trend that I feel no one's really talked too much about. I did mention it on the show yesterday that Hart's had at least 10 rebounds in every game this season against the Pacers. A friend of mine told me that this actually dates back to, I think, the last 10 games that Hart's had over 8.5 rebounds in 10 straight games against Indiana. He had 13 last night against the Pacers. Jessica Brand and I were on opposite sides. Our sports betting researcher, we were on opposite sides of this play. She had Taiwan Walker in plus money under 3.5 Ks, and it ended up cashing for the under, which I said I leaned the over, but I didn't really like any strikeout props yesterday. I gave you guys 2. I just didn't feel like there was any real edge, but those were the 2 I would have considered. A's lefty, JP Sears, did not go over his 4.5K prop. He had 4 and 5 innings. Pacers power forward Pascal Siakam, he did not have a good game. 18 points, 18.5 points was his prop. Went under with 17. You know what I'm going to go back to? I'm going back to Siakam over points in game 2. Hallie had a huge first game, went over his 27.5 points in assist prop, 31 points, 11 assists. I'll take some Siakam action. Why not? Jessica Brand did not go over her Mikal Bridges prop. That one was a heartbreak. He had just 16 on a 16.5 points prop. So that's a recap of yesterday's ThePropQueen.com newsletter. Sean said Brunson and Cat ended up choking to end the game, though. Yeah, and the defense also definitely was bad. Blackney, I don't know what that stands for. Padres sold me so hard. Why? First off, today with the Padres, Trent was on the Padres. And when Book It Trent is on something, you guys know we stay away. Book It Trent was on the Padres. Because what'd they sell you on? They're not hitting. And what? That they can't possibly lose 5 in a row? They wouldn't possibly get swept by the Toronto Blue Jays? Every time that's your handicap, it loses. I've been doing this for long enough to know that anytime your handicap is that there's no way a team could lose 3 in a row. No way this team gets swept. No team this way loses 5 in a row. Not a good handicap. Not a good handicap. So because we're going to have Steve come... Oh, actually, before I get to that, I gave out 2 winners in the Prop Queen newsletter so far this afternoon. Again, I gave out a bunch of strikeout props today for the afternoon slate and the night slate. I never advise betting all of these. Just take the ones that you ended up liking. Yeah, Nate says I didn't see Trent was on it, but yes, there's no way. Yeah, see? The no way they get swept thing. Same with the Rangers. Should the Rangers have gotten swept today with Nathan Eovaldi on the mound against Carlos Rodon? Probably not. But they did. 1-0. That's why it can't be the handicap. So speaking of, Carlos Rodon did go over 6.5 Ks. Minus 145 I laid. It was 7.5 in spots where you could have laid less juice. I thought that it was worth laying minus 145 because I was getting the extra oomph. But it cashed anyway. He had 8 strikeouts against the Texas Rangers. Crazy trend with the Rangers. I have to get the strikeout prop spreadsheet up, which you can check out on the PropQueen.com newsletter every day. The premium subscribers get access to the newsletter, and I really do need to tell you guys how to read the spreadsheet better. So after Carlos Rodon goes over his strikeout prop today, lefties are now 11-3 over under their K prop, averaging just over 6 strikeouts a game. It's crazy against the Rangers. I'm going to see if I know there's a way to share your screen. Let me share screen AL. I see people do this all the time. That's not sharing my screen. I don't know why this isn't. Why am I the only person on planet Earth that can't figure out? Oh, here. There it is. Yay. Okay. So, you see my mouse. When you look at the PropQueen.com newsletter, and you could go to the strikeout prop spreadsheet, you'll see this as the PDF download. And I know it looks a little overwhelming, but you look down here and it says Texas. So you click Texas, and you'll see every single pitcher that faced the Texas Rangers so far this year. You'll see if they're the innings pitched. You see if they're a lefty or a righty. You see how many strikeouts they had, right-handed or left-handed. You'll see if they went over or under their strikeout prop for the day. The colors are me and Mid-Major Matt's records with them, so you see who we got right and wrong. We also track runs and hits allowed up here, so you can see what, like Carlos Rodon today, he went 6 innings against the Rangers with 8 strikeouts as a lefty, over 6.5 Ks. It was over 7.5 also, so I should add that in, and over 7.5, but I'll just do that later. 0 runs allowed and 2 hits. And then Matt always likes to add in these little notes, like that he went over 6.5 Ks in his last 2 batters, Rodon. So you know if it's like super close or super not. Here, I don't know if it's too hard to see, but you get your 2025 overall averages for the season. So overall this year, pitchers are 25 overs, 23 unders, averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game against the Rangers. Righties, however, majority go under because you see how different their lefty-righty splits are, which is where we get the absolute best advantages in the strikeout prop market when you have a team like the Texas Rangers. And let me see if I could zoom in a little bit for you guys. I'm so bad with these things. Yeah, okay, so I feel like that's a little more zoomed in. So you'll see here that the Rangers, you get a good advantage because Carlos Rodon was a 6.5 in places today, and yet 11 overs, 3 unders because the books aren't catching on to the lefty-righty splits. So again, if you subscribe to the PropQueen.com newsletter, you will see these kinds of things. So let's go on to how, like, Ranger Suarez, for example, someone mentioned it, Jose Perez said it. What's up, Suarez? K is cash. Hell yeah, it did. So Suarez went over 5.5 strikeouts today as well, facing the Colorado Rockies. Their splits aren't any more different because their splits, let me, let's see, stop screen, share screen again, National League props. So you'll see Colorado, obviously they suck. Why isn't this working? Remove, add to stage. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to do all of this and figure out how to make this look easier for you guys. Right now I'm on San Francisco. So Colorado, the Colorado Rockies lefty-righty splits are about, I mean, they definitely strike out more against lefties. But today, as you can see here on this spreadsheet, we had Ranger Suarez, who was on the mound for the Phillies. His strikeout prop, 5.5. And let's see. So Suarez is a lefty. And you'll see that the book has not caught on to the right numbers yet for the Rockies. Normally, when a team is bad and has a high strikeout rate, the book catches on. So it may be closer to 500 on the strikeouts, but we're still hitting overs here on the Rockies. Lefties 8-6, averaging almost 7 strikeouts a game. Again, this is what you could get from the MLB prop spreadsheet. And you're seeing too down here, average innings pitched, they're getting to the 6th inning majority of the time. It's kind of crazy when you think 5.7. So if you get to the 5th, it's like 5.3 is the 6th. So people are getting to like 7 innings. And then around average runs scored, about 2 to starters. Average hits allowed, about just over 4. But again, averaging 6 to 7 strikeouts a game, these starters, when facing the Colorado Rockies. So that's the way to read the strikeout prop spreadsheet and the MLB prop spreadsheet. So we had some nice winners today with Ranger Suarez and Carlos Rodon. I didn't even get the final line on the Ranger Suarez number. They are in the 9th inning. Phillies up 2-0. Suarez 6 Ks in 6 2/3. So that's nice. Hey, everybody. We have Kaylee joining from Twitch. We are doing great. Courtney Harden is stopping by. It has been a while, Courtney Harden, since I've gotten to speak with you. Very glad to have you guys here and learning more about the MLB prop spreadsheet. Today we do have some of the most bet on props according to BetMGM. Stanford Steve going to join the show in about 10 to 15 minutes, so we will get him on from over at ESPN. Let's go with the most bet on props of the day with propaganda. These are the most bet on props according to BetMGM. And of course, a lot of these games are already in action or happened already. Starting with Kyle Schwarber, he's 1 for 2 with a run scored. I think he's batting right now, actually. It was just a single, though. So he still has to get over it. A single, strikeout, and walk. So over 1.5 total bases at minus 175 is yet to hit, and it is the 9th inning. So not looking so great. Aaron Judge to have a home run, that did not happen. There was only 1 run scored today, and that was with Vivas scoring the run. What else? Kyle Schwarber home run, not happening. Vladdy, I know he came close. I don't think he hit one, though. I think Vladdy had one like down to the center field track. Yeah, Vladdy 1 run scored, but 0 for 5 today. So the public was wrong on Vladdy as well. And Bryce Harper to hit a home run. I feel like that didn't happen either. He had an RBI, though. Bryce Harper doubled to left, but no home run. So the public was 0 for 5 in Major League Baseball's most bet on props today over at BetMGM. Oh, David Fink. This has turned into my new 2 p.m. ritual while at work. Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate you so much. Sorry we didn't get more than 1 guest on the show today. And I guess you're over at the West Coast, so appreciate you joining during the workday. These are the most bet on props according to BetMGM for tonight's Thunder and Timberwolves game. This is always so fun to look at who's betting the most props over on the NBA side. I've had a bunch of people ask me about Dante DiVincenzo, people asking me about Conley, people asking me about, there was one other person. Oh, Naz Reid. I don't have a say on these role players like a DiVincenzo. I'd have to look at like his last few numbers when looking over at, let's see, Dante DiVincenzo. His numbers against the Pacers this year, or excuse me, against the Pacers. I'm in like a total New York Knicks mindset. He had 9 points against OKC in game 1. He had 10 points against OKC in the regular season, and that was it. So his prop's 9.5. He's right about there. Most bet on prop of the day? No, thank you. I actually did speak today with John Ewing from over at BetMGM. I said to him, John, I'm like so confused sometimes when you send some of these bet on props that some of these players like a Dante DiVincenzo is the most bet on prop of the day. It doesn't make sense to me. He said that there are so many people that are just like influencers in the business that will just give these players out. And when they see like an influencer posting a prop, all these people start running to the window on them. Julius Randle under 19.5 points. I kind of see it. I feel the same way. We're all waiting for Randle to cool off. I find his points prop to be a little bit fishy. I've talked about this in the newsletter. Randle went from 18.5 at the beginning of the Golden State series to 21.5, 22.5, 20. It was like 22.5, I think we hit on his points prop. Then for this series, it went back down to 18.5 for game 1. Rightfully so. The Warriors were without Steph, blah, blah, blah. Well, now this is up to 19.5, but I feel like it's not high enough. Randle's posted 24 or more points in like 6 or 7 straight games. It's been since game 2 of the Golden State series that Randle has put up at least 24 points. So why are we still at a 19.5 points prop? Obviously, this matchup is tougher for him than it was with the Warriors. We're all just waiting for Randle to drop off. But does he not drop off now because the public is liking his under? Mike Conley over 7.5 points. I think Jessica Brand gave this out in the newsletter and talked about it. So I don't know where Jessica is, but yeah, she said Mike Conley over 7.5 points plus 105. She said that she likes it because you're getting good value if you get it at plus 105. She She said veterans are less impacted by playing on the road versus home like young guys are, so you don't have to worry about the performance in front of an away crowd. She feels the book's over-adjusted here, so likes the over 7.5, which, okay. SGA to score first field goal. Again, I don't bet these unless I'm doing like a NBA bet live stream. Then I have to like find some rooting interest. Rudy Gobert under 8.5 rebounds. I don't blame you. Now, am I going to bet that on the most, like, one of the best defensive players in the NBA? Probably not. That's why I don't bet Gobert. He's so annoying. Gobert is a player that's going to have an amazing game. You're going to be on the under. You're going to feel like an idiot. He's due, Gobert, to have like a 12 rebound performance. I almost gave out like Chet over rebounds. I'm just so lost as to who's going to grab boards in this series. Isaiah Hartenstein went up against Rudy Gobert last year, and Gobert had like 12 boards or 14 boards in one of the games against him. But then you also have Julius Randle. So Randle's been inconsistent on the boards too. I don't really love it, to be honest. So I'm probably going to stay away from the Rudy Gobert props for a while. Let's see what else we can do today. So I already mentioned Knicks from last night. Prop queen right, prop queen wrong. Dante over 2.5 3-pointers made. That number seems kind of high, no? Let's see. Dante DiVincenzo. I'm such a numbers driven person that it is so hard for me to just do these things on the fly. I like sit here and analyze numbers all freaking day. Let's see. DiVincenzo. See, here's what I don't like doing. So he already had 3 threes in the last game. Now you're getting a 2.5. I don't like betting the same thing for back-to-back nights. Now, Joseph Rodriguez says, I would take him for 2 made threes. What juice are you getting on that? And are you parlaying that? Because that's the big difference. Let's see. Last series on the road, he was 0 for 2 against Golden State, 2 for 4 against Golden State. Now he has 3 for 12, 2. Yeah, see, on the road in the postseason, he's really maxed out at 2. At home, he shoots better, so maybe you go over 2.5 made threes when they're back at home. But I don't know if I would do it back-to-back road games. I think that would scare me. Oof. No. Not on a 3-point prop. We are not going there. No. Yeah, you would definitely have to parlay that for sure. Dante D over PA is good money. Jose says that. Everyone helping each other. I love everybody helping each other. It's great. Okay, so in Major League Baseball today, we do have some night games going on tonight. So let's take a look at some of the batters props, because if you guys are in the mood for laying juice, then you could go and look at some baseball hitters props for tonight. Some overs you could take a look at. Seattle's left fielder, Randy Arozarena. He's got a great matchup tonight against Lance McCullers, hitting .455 with a homer. Yoan Moncada, hitting .333 with 2 doubles and a home run against Luis Severino. And we all know that game, let's see, I think that one's in Sacramento. Why am I blanking today? What is wrong? Oh, that game's going on right now. I don't know why I thought that game was later. Silly me. Anyway, Detroit Tigers, that game also 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. That game is in Detroit. And Gleyber Torres has good numbers against Tanner Bybee. He's hitting .500. Not a huge sample size, but 2 doubles against Bybee. Right fielder Zach McKinstry hitting .375 and 16 at-bats with 2 doubles and a home run against Tanner Bybee. And Detroit's infielder Colt Keith hitting .364 with a triple against Bybee. So those are some good matchups for tonight based on starting pitching. And again, get rid of the Yoan Moncada and Luis Severino one because that game's going on, and it is 5-2 Athletics. Mark says, I made a prop queen parlay last night with Cap Brunson and Hart props. Siakam killed it. Oh, God. That's brutal. I am sorry, Mark. This is why I hate parlays. I hate parlays because you feel so good, it just rips your heart out. Just like backing a New York team. Anyone who backs a New York team, you just work so hard, you love them so much, and then it rips your heart out. The Tigers lead MLB in first inning runs. Never take them in a nerfy, he says to Joe Dollar, who says Tigers nerfy. You've got a great pitching matchup, Jack Flaherty and Tanner Bybee. Now, I'm a little biased because I have a play on Bybee that requires him to hopefully leave the game early. So I'll tell you that later. Tigers rake Bybee. Flaherty shoves against Flaherty. Flaherty shoves against Flaherty. Tigers have the best record in MLB at home. Okay. So Sean doesn't like the nerfy on Detroit, but Joe does. I need Aaron Judge for one hit today. The game happened. It's over, Sean. The game's over. The game happened. I'm sorry. Oh, you needed. See, we have to work on the grammar. Got to work on that. See, he sucked. You put the past tense on the sucked. Needed, Sean. We need to fix this. Need to fix that. Okay, so we've got just a little bit of Major League Baseball tonight. Guardians, Tigers, Brewers, Pirates, Braves, Nationals, Mariners, Astros. The Orioles Red Sox game got rained out, so no game for that. Batters unders to look at tonight. Just talked about the overs, so now looking at some unders for matchups. Jose Altuve sucks against George Kirby. 2 for 17, hitting 118. This dude's already come down in the lineup. Like, we are away from overs on Altuve. Unders only. Houston shortstop Jeremy Pena also struggles against George Kirby. But one thing to note, it is George Kirby's first game of the season. He had shoulder inflammation, got put on the IL in March, has looked terrible in AAA. I am very worried for Kirby. And I could talk about him. I did talk about him in the PropQueen.com newsletter. I'll tell you some of Kirby's stats. So George Kirby was 14-11 last year with a 3.53 ERA and 33 starts. He has a great strikeout to walk ratio, the best since 2023 amongst qualified pitchers. The lowest walk rate in that span, 8th in opponents on base percentage, 3-0 with a 1.32 ERA and 8 starts against the Astros. Kirby has great numbers, as you can see here, against the Astros. The problem is he had a 7.20 ERA in AAA through 3 rehab starts. He's also going to be on a 75 to 80 pitch count tonight. Carlos Santana struggles against Jack Flaherty, and Austin Riley struggles against Trevor Williams. So those are some unders that you guys could take a look at. But there are some notes for pitchers tonight in Major League Baseball. So I mentioned George Kirby, first start of the season, so be careful. Mike Burrows, the Pirates promoted the 25-year-old to the bigs to make his first career start. He's pitched in the bigs before, but not as a starter. Burrows had a 2.51 ERA and 32 in a third innings in AAA this season. He averaged just over 11 strikeouts per 9. His big league debut actually came in the Bronx on the final day of the 2024 regular season. He allowed 2 runs, 1 earned in 3 1/3 innings. Actually, I thought it was pretty interesting that the line was moving in favor of Burrows tonight and the Pirates. Like, right now, you've got what? Did the Brewers FanDuel just said it's Aaron Savali tonight. Earlier this morning, it was not Aaron Savali on the mound, and I have to bring on our next guest. But I am a little shook right now. It was there was no pitcher announced. Savali tonight. So maybe that's why they're fading. We've got Savali versus Burrows. Like, that's a crapshoot. Under 4.5 Ks for Kirby tonight against Houston. I have no read on Houston right now. Honestly, we could go, once I'm done with our next guest, I will go back to the strikeout prop spreadsheet and we could go look at it together with the Astros and why I have absolute trust issues with the Houston Astros. Our next guest has trust issues with game 2s in the playoffs, so I'm going to bring him on right now. Super excited to bring on my good friend from over at ESPN, Mr. Stanford Steve. What's going on?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for saving me from 30 straight minutes of talking.
No, that's what the people want. They want more.
I love the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Do you work from home a lot?
I tape a bunch of stuff from home. So whether it's radio shows, podcasts, the whole thing. So my man Kev Roche did a little cartoon for the SV Pod. And
I love it.
That's what we go with.
You guys should name it something like with being bald or something.
Attack of the Bald Heads.
You guys just wish you were blonde. It's fine. How was the PGA Championship in Charlotte?
We finally got there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. had some new Nikes I was walking around in, threw those out. They didn't make it home with me. I mean, it was so just wet, the course, and it's just soaked it up. But like, fairways just mud. And I think guys made their feelings known about who was playing when and where. And Saturday got kind of, caused a hiccup because if they just waited 20 minutes, everything would have went fine. And then they had to go switch to the groups of three, and it made for a difficult day. And you had to explain the U curve of how they still want to give the advantage to the guys who are at the top of the leaderboard. And that's why Rory and Xander went from teeing off at 8:25 in the morning to 1:26, and they didn't like that. But it was great. First time really hanging out in Charlotte. Good spot. People were awesome and super into it. Course was great.
Did you get to experience that like first time food experience?
I went out to a couple of establishments. The problem is we're there. I mean, those pick Thursday, Friday. We're at the course from 7 to 7, so it's right to the hotel bar. Give me something to eat, and I'm going to bed.
So your experience is probably better than mine was over at Quail Hollow. I was a local sports anchor, schlepping my own tripod. I'm 5'2", schlepping a tripod, microphone, and a camera from the tent where the media gets to go to see like the big guys. And then you have to go to the course for the other press conference area. And there's me just chugging along, sweating my face off.
It's you golf tournaments, you work.
It's a grind.
Work. Whether it's walking miles upon miles, or just getting through the logistics. But golf majors are like my favorite thing to be at now. Just seeing the mental side of these guys is next level, and I think you saw that with Scotty overcoming how he played Thursday and Friday. Just a treat to watch, and it lived up to the hype. It was great.
I'm jealous. That sounds awesome. Before we get into tonight, Sean Michael has a question for you though about some college football.
Oh boy.
Michigan and Bryce Underwood, how you think that'll affect Michigan's 8.5 wins future bet?
I don't think Bryce Underwood's going to be the guy.
Why?
I just think, I look at their schedule. They go second week of the year, they go to Oklahoma. I don't know if you want to throw him to that. Oklahoma's going to be much improved. We know how Venables can coach defense. As the season goes on, maybe. But I'm really interested to see. I think Keene from Fresno State will be the guy early on, just because he has experience. He's played in tough environments. But yeah, I think Michigan's a team where there's a lot. You look at what they did in the draft the last 2 years. There's a lot of guys gone, and then you think about how many first rounders they have, and they didn't win that many games last year. And it goes back to the quarterback position. So they got to get some production out of that, and that's why I think Keene's going to be the guy to start the season there.
When do you start looking at all of your college football futures?
Well, it's tough because it feels like every book comes out at a different time, so I'll catch it. Like, last week being at the PGA, I didn't see one thing. I have already in my head of what I've done as far as rosters and who kept who or who went where. I have that back in my head. I haven't really studied the numbers. I do expect a really big season from Clemson, but I've heard people already say that. I think the ACC is really, really down. And, is in a world where it's almost we'll just say it's really difficult to have depth with the portal and NIL. Clemson has done that, and Dabo should be commended for that, because he got ridiculed for not using the portal, but his recruiting and now using the portal, his roster sets up. I would take it maybe more than anybody in the country.
With the new college football playoff layout, how's that going to impact the way you look at futures?
Not too much. I don't think it'll be too different. It's very interesting to see the quarterback turnover. I mentioned Clemson. That's a guy. Kate Klubnik was sensational last year, and it was just cool to see, because I feel like the way the quarterbacks go, if you don't win the job, you transfer. If you don't have success, they go to the next guy, and they didn't. and they stuck with Cade. He was a 5-star coming out of college. So the new format where they're going to seed it 1 to 12, I actually really like. There's probably going to be some teams that get home games that probably don't have a chance to win the national title, but every system has a flaw, right?
That's true. I mean, I guess they'll say March Madness doesn't because it's so fun, but you think it does?
March Madness, yeah, there's too many teams. We don't need more teams.
Well, we don't need more teams, that's for sure.
Like we don't even need to play in games.
Going.
We don't need to play in games.
I agree. We don't need the playing games.
Thank you.
The playing games are a participation trophy.
There you go. Yeah, you shouldn't get credit for a win. You're in Dayton. That's not a real site.
Okay, let's go to WNBA. We've got action for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this parlay that you posted. Let me take this away. Okay. Parlay for WNBA tonight. Quick turnaround for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Why do you like these three?
It's a rematch from 2 nights ago, and tell me if I'm wrong here. I just realized this morning that the Dream won that game. Like, I was following social media, and I didn't have the channel. But, like, we see these clips and these highlights. Like, I saw Caitlin Clark make a bunch of big threes. Like, I assumed they won, and I wake up this morning, I'm like, wait, they lost? Like, I just – the way this the beginning of this season, I'm like, can we focus on the wins and losses? That's what matters here. We got to do a better job of that, not just clips. We have
to do a better job of painting a story, which we don't do in the media anymore. It's all just about how we're going to get things to blow up on social and get likes and followers.
Yeah, we need to concentrate on the results of the games.
That's why betting's great, because we can only focus on results.
Yeah, that's true.
What you got?
Well, I just look at the first. I mean, small sample size, but Caitlin Clark, 20-plus points and 4 threes. She's taken 19 threes in 2 games, and she's shooting 50%. I feel good about that. I don't have an issue with her not getting 20-plus points. Aaliyah Boston has 24 and 19 points in her first 2 games. We just need her to go over 15. And Brianna Jones has been a rebounding machine, 13 and 10 in her first 2 games, really controlled the boards against the Fever in the last game. So I like all those. I mean, they've hit all of them in their first 2 games of the year. Let's go with it all, and we get plus 500. So I like that.
You don't get nervous about games like a back-to-back against the same opponent with the same thing happening twice in a row?
No, just because it's still that early in the season, and coaches got all their wrinkles they still could throw offensively, and I look at the quality of those 3 players too. They're all all-stars, so I don't have an issue with having an off night. I was looking for some Bonner numbers. She didn't score in the last game, and then she became the 4th all-time leading scorer in the game before. So I was looking to see what she had, but I didn't see any posted for her.
You said wrinkles in WNBA. I feel like that's going to be a canceled word.
That's just a coaching term. It's not at all taking shots.
Soon we're going to not be allowed to say wrinkles in women's sports because that's offensive.
No.
Men don't care. They don't do Botox.
I don't want to offend anybody.
I'm joking.
I know.
My mom says I need a little Botox in my forehead.
Oh.
I think it's a sore subject. I don't like needles.
No.
No.
Okay.
You do have a toxic relationship with game 2s. So why don't you like game 2s? Is that every sport?
No, NBA especially. First off with the NBA, I just look at, how much we made a big deal of Shea going to the foul line in that game 1. And then you look at the numbers where he drove 27 times and the Timberwolves didn't have 26 drives combined. So, how does that affect things? The whistle, Anthony Edwards took 1 shot in the paint. I expect him to do a lot more. His over 20 is around minus 330, but over 25, I think, is getting closer. I don't know if he gets
24 and a half. So he's got to be plus money over 25.
Yeah. I would look at that if I was going to do anything in this game. He has to assert himself better. And, game 2, it's always, all right, we came out in game 1 and did this. We're going to do another thing. And then another team's going to have another matchup. So X's and O's wise, I find it really hard to handicap as far as NBA, and let alone the emotion, because Timberwolves still could get home court for the series if they steal this game. But you can't fake a desperation of a team. How much desperation is there? They know they're going back home. They've been great at home. So it's just too much going on for me to like a side. And you factor in the point spreads the same as it was in game one. That seems off to me. So I just scared away. And then the hockey, the Panthers look like the best team left, and they made it look way too easy. Just how much bigger, faster, stronger they look than the Hurricanes. That's where I always get myself in the trouble where you got to lay a number. And again, the team that's hungrier that just got embarrassed in game one comes out. So game twos are not good friends of mine.
I understand. And especially when you have something like the NBA and NHL, when you're so used to it just being a one-off of every series in the regular season. Now you're getting two teams going up, back-to-back games at the same time. Especially in this Western Conference Finals for the NBA, there's not a huge sample size of these regular season games because Gobert and Randall were out for 3 of the 4 games of the series. At least with the Pacers and the Knicks, we've got the starters in majority of the regular season games to get a kind of a grasp on.
Yeah, but those were so early in the year.
Yeah.
That I totally get where you're coming from. I don't even look at it anymore. I don't care what happened during the season in the NBA alone. I really don't, because the time you got to spend to see who played in the game, and more so than not, none of the guys played. And now they're all going to play extended minutes. Rotations are cut down. It's really you'll lose your mind if you try doing it for at the beginning of the playoffs. You start looking and it's like, oh my God, there's 8 matchups on each side, and it's too much. And like I said, more than not, you're just wasting your time looking it up. Do you agree with me on that? No,
it's true. Regular season in the NBA really doesn't mean so much. And after that choke job last night by the New York Knicks and their crappy perimeter defense yet again, I mean, it just felt like everything got sucked out of the building at the Garden. And it feels like game 2 is not going to be the same energy.
I sneaky kind of like the Pacers, no matter what it is in that game.
Well, the public's so heavy on the Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the Pacers before the series, so I felt good about stealing that one.
Yeah, it was like, if you look at the comparison, the Knicks series price was minus 146, around that range. OKC was like minus 350.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one.
It was huge difference. So, yeah, I'm very worried about this team. Before I let you go, Sean Michael wants to know a never told SVP story. I feel like that's hard to come by. Probably told so many on your podcast.
And a lot of them are not for air.
Right. Why would we can't tell these kinds of stories on air? How'd you guys become close? Was it just through work?
Yeah, I started working on his radio show back in 2010. And
a long time. It's hard to keep friends that long.
Yeah. In this business, you're right. You're right. I had to ask. I was like, after a week of being around me straight, where we're together nonstop, I'm like, you're still not. I didn't tire you out. You're good. We're still good. Everything's good. Yes.
That's how Kelly and I are. When Kelly and Vegas and I are on vacation, we did Italy for 2 weeks last year. I can tolerate you more than my boyfriend.
We're not doing vacation. I'll tell you that.
Kelly and I did vacation, and she goes, the fact that I could do 2 weeks with you and not kill you is a miracle. I think I'm a very easy person.
Was that a couples trip or just
what?
Was that a couples trip or no?
Couples trip?
Yeah.
What, me and Kelly?
Yeah, and you're
who's a couple? Her?
Yeah.
I have no couple.
Oh.
I come solo. Okay. No, it was just a girls' trip for my 30th birthday.
22nd, I thought.
What?
22nd birthday.
22nd. Yeah, that's why I need Botox, because I'm only 22. The group didn't believe me when I said I was 30. This whole chat thought I was 25. I'm like, if you think that I could do all of this at 25 and have a career and be at MLB, I'm like, I've accomplished so much in 4 years out of college? I don't think so.
Yeah, you would be next level.
That'd be pretty insane. I would not have made it this far. Sean says I'm 22. Okay, everyone in the chat they're loving this. Anything else for tonight, or is that it?
Nope. Headed into work. Sports Center on after Timberwolves and Thunder.
What is your hours of the day? Like, when do you wake up and when do you get to work and when do you go home?
Well, somebody started a power washer this morning at about 8 in the morning, so I was up at 8 a.m. That was great. I'll probably get home around 2:30, 3 tonight. Wind down and get back up around 9, hopefully.
Okay. I used to work that schedule in the local news market, but I do not miss it.
No,
you're
not a night owl?
No, I am, but I've started to become a morning person. I think I'm way more productive.
Yeah, of course you are. But staying up late's way more fun.
I have to watch games
because
we don't start basketball games till 8:30.
I can't stay. When I used to have to work morning show, the idea of, and I used to stay up for the games, but the idea that people would come into work and not know what happened last night, that drove me nuts.
I don't know how people do it. I wonder how people do morning shows all the time.
What time's your first coffee?
8:30 or 9.
Ooh.
Why?
Is that your only one?
I had to cut back on coffee. It was giving me problems.
Headaches?
No, stomach aches.
Oh.
Bad.
Oh.
So not good. I had to cut back on coffee. So I could do 1.5 cups a day.
Okay.
But it's not just the coffee. It's the coffee and wine, and I will not give up the wine. So we're going to cut back on coffee. Here's the thing. You have to have something to look forward to in the night after the afternoon and work day.
Of course.
So if I decided to go the coffee route in the morning instead of the wine at night, then I would be miserable about it. Like, what's my reward after work?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I could give up coffee. I don't even know why I drink it.
Speaking of drinking, best college town.
Baton Rouge.
I have to go. Nights, like LSU at night.
Oh, nothing better.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to go. I have to go to Baton Rouge. Okay, we'll plan a trip. Me, you, Kelly, we'll plan a trip. Go down there for a football game.
In. I don't know if she's like that.
You what?
Kelly's you're just throwing her in on these trips. What is she?
Yeah, she has to go.
She doesn't want to hang out with me.
She doesn't want to hang out with you?
I don't know.
She has to hang out. We have to hang out with who each other says we have to hang out with. That's just part of the travel rule.
Oh. You got your
Stanford
grandfather.
Steve.
You have grandfathered in rules.
Yeah, it makes for good content.
Okay.
Duh. We have to have good content. Okay, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to get into work. Stanford Steve, check him out over at ESPN. Thank you so much for coming on, and good luck with that parlay tonight.
Good luck. I'm waiting to hear these baseball over-unders that you got.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, baseball winners. We have got, so I gave out batters to watch overs and unders. There are some batters that are on absolute fire right now. So taking a look at some of these batters that are on massive hot streaks in baseball, in case you do want to be crazy and bet some of these baseball props. These are the batters that are on absolute hot streaks. So Jose Ramirez, he's hit safely in 14 straight games, hitting .389 with 9 extra base hits and 12 runs scored. He's 5 for 20 with 2 homers against Flaherty in his career. Through 18 games in Detroit last season, Ramirez hit .308 with 12 extra base hits and 15 RBIs. Carlos Santana, who doesn't have very good numbers in this matchup, because we did see it here, that he has struggled against Jack Flaherty. But he is on a hot streak. .410 on base percentage with 4 home runs and 17 ribbies in his last 21 games. Detroit's left fielder Kerry Carpenter, he's currently hitting .304 with 6 home runs and 16 ribbies in his last 20 games against Cleveland, including last year's ALDS. Riley Green, not the country singer. Since April 23rd, Green's hitting .354 with 9 home runs and 25 ribbies in 25 games. Drake Baldwin, you might not know him, but he's hitting .571 with 9 ribbies in his last 10 games. In 3 games against the Nationals, 7 for 9 with a home run. So that's an underrated player. Another batter's hot streak, CJ Abrams of the Nats, hitting .370 with 4 home runs in his last 12 games. Atlanta's first baseman, Matt Olson, 8 for 16 with 3 home runs and 5 ribbies in his last 4 games. Houston's third baseman, Isaac Paredes, hitting .314 with 6 home runs and 11 ribbies in his last 9 games. That includes 3 home runs over his last 7 at-bats. Seattle's catcher, Cal Raleigh, 4 home runs in his last 9 games. He's tied for the American League lead in home runs with Aaron Judge. Crazy. Julio Rodriguez had 2 home runs and 7 ribbies in the last 3 games against the White Sox. He's slugging .486 in May. His name is Kerry Bonds. Kerry Bonds. Worst college town. I wasn't going to call him out for that. That wouldn't be too nice. I feel like if you were to call him out on that, then that would be not nice to do. I don't think I've mentioned this yet. So the Colorado Rockies lost again. Surprise, surprise. The final score of that game was, I think, 2-0 was when we checked it in the 9th inning last. 2-0. So Colorado is now their record. Colorado's 8-42 on the year, 5-20 at home. So my good friend Jake Cornegay from the Westgate, the Rockies are on pace for a minus -519 run differential. That would be a modern day record, surpassing 1932 Red Sox and 2003 Tigers. All-time record held by 1899 Cleveland Spiders. I thought we were going to get embarrassed. That's bad. So do we start going Rockies, not taking the Rock? What? No, what? Against it, you mean? Like taking -1.5 against them? So I have a friend who told me that at his book, he's had people just absolutely hammering the other side against the Rockies every game. Like just crushing the book by betting against the Rockies. Like at this point, I have to ask some of these other odds makers and these books, like what's going on with how they're going to book the Rockies, because I'd have to imagine, obviously it's a steep price to pay, but if you have the bankroll for it and you have the amount of money to be able to just take the other side of like a -300, these books must be getting attacked against the Rockies. Like I'm going to take, so you're able to, let me see. EV Analytics. I love this site. It's called EV Analytics. I'm going to share the screen. Share screen. Okay. EV Analytics. Great site if you don't know it already. They should probably pay me for telling you guys this. So you could look at how profitable these teams are. This year, not betting against. Oh, I wish that I have to find a site that gives me betting against, because this is just teams to bet on. Never mind. This is silly. I'm silly. That was wrong. I wish that we could see how much people were making off betting against the Rockies. So the Rockies opponents. I could get those numbers. I might be able to ask Jessica Brand for that. See if she could come up with it for tomorrow's show. The Book It Trent method is real. Did I watch True Romance last night? No, I didn't, because I watched Toxic Romance, which was me watching the New York Knicks. At least I hit my bets last night, so that's what mattered. But it was pretty brutal what I decided to watch last night. I would have been much better off watching a freaking movie. But instead, I decided to choose Toxicity, like I always do. Strikeout props to watch. That's why. My Royal Lock is the only real strikeout prop that I was looking at today, because we had a lot of afternoon baseball. So in the PropQueen.com morning newsletter this morning, I gave out a few strikeout props that I thought looked really good for the afternoon slate. For everyone just tuning in, already mentioned that I cashed Evaldi over 5.5 Ks and I cashed Rodon over 6.5 Ks. Suarez over 5.5 Ks hit. The other one this afternoon I said in the newsletter was Tyler Anderson over 4.5 strikeouts. So that game 7-5 Angels in the bottom of the 7th. Anderson had 0 strikeouts. So that plus money play makes sense. So that lost. So in the morning premium subscriber newsletter, we were 3-1 in strikeout props, with my Royal Lock of the day being the last one. So I will let you guys know that one. McCullers was one that I was looking. Oh, that reminds me. We were going to look at the strikeout prop spreadsheet so that I could show you guys why I don't trust the Houston Astros. Thank you for that. And then okay. Houston strikeout prop because we were talking about George Kirby and how he's probably going to be on a pitch count tonight, 75 to 80 pitches. Share screen. AL. You're hearing Kirby McCullough parlay. Oof. Okay, let's go through both these teams. So looking at the MLB prop spreadsheet, even though you can see that the Houston Astros, look at that, majority overs against righties, 26 overs, 18 unders, averaging 4.6 strikeouts a game. That's very average, middle of the pack. 4.5 to 4.8, very middle of the pack for an average strikeout rate against the lineup for a starter. Look at these last few games. Taj Bradley, 7 strikeouts. Zach Littell, 6 strikeouts. Then, low amount, Pepio, Leiter, Malley, Evaldi, not that high. But then DeGrom, 7. Like, this is why I have massive trust issues with the freaking Astros. Last year, look at their average. 4.26 strikeouts a game against righties. 4.2 overall. Look at how low the strikeout rate was last year for the Houston Astros. This year, it's up by 0.4, which is a decent amount. There are too many variables and too much inconsistency when it comes to the Houston Astros. The Seattle Mariners, they are not striking out this year, except, look, so their average is low, 4.2, 21 unders, 12 overs. Is everyone following along with the strikeout prop spreadsheet now and how to kind of read it? But look at this recently. Shane Smith, 6 strikeouts. Like, who are you? You're a White Sox pitcher and you had 6 Ks. Now it's low, 2-3. But then we had good pitchers like Michael King with 8, Nick Pivetta with 7, Will Warren with 9, Clark Schmidt with 6. So you could see here on the strikeout prop spreadsheet that even though all season the Mariners so far have not struck out a lot, when they get a good pitcher on the mound, they strike out more. And McCullers hasn't been that great this year. But I just am not sure that I am ready to go and fade McCullers yet on such a low number. I think it was just 3.5, right? 4.5. Over was minus 126 when I looked. McCullers had 4 against the White Sox, 0 against Cincinnati, and 2 against Texas. Trust me, I agree with you on that under. Except, looking at the Mariners the last few games, how the hell did Shane Smith have 6 strikeouts? That's my concern. Kirby, obviously, on pitch count, I saw that under at minus 166, so it was kind of juiced to the under there, so that makes me a little nervous. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left in the show, so that means I'll get to the one strikeout prop that I actually would bet on today. It is time for Royal Lux! Strikeout of the day, Tanner Bybee, under 5.5 strikeouts today for the Cleveland Guardians. Bybee has not gone over 5.5 strikeouts yet this season, so why on earth is he going over against the Tigers? Righty starters, 14 overs, 22 unders against the Tigers this year, averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game. In fact, 8 of the last 10 righties to face the Tigers have gone under 5.5 strikeouts. Bybee has faced 4 other low K rate teams this year. He had 2 and 4 strikeouts against the Royals, 5 against Minnesota, and 3 against the Phillies. If he hasn't gone over it yet this season, it means it has to be the first time all year that Tanner Bybee goes over 5.5 Ks against a low K rate team. I'm going under 5.5 Ks, minus 135. Book it. 5:59. Thank you, everybody, for joining the show. Thank you so much to Stanford Steve for coming on the show. He was absolutely awesome, told some great stories. If you missed it, you could go to the YouTube page, Prop Queen Sports. Go check it out. We've got all the guest segments on there, too. Yesterday, Troy Perlowitz talked about Stanley Cup playoffs. He gave out some plays for tonight, so you can still go back and look at what he mentioned for tonight's games. Also talked about the Conn Smythe, talked about some NHL futures, so you could check that out over there. Some of our segments are, like, you could get some really good information on the YouTube page. And this way, you can get some prop edges whenever you need them. Also, the PropQueen.com newsletter has pretty much everything that I put in the show already on there. Gave it out this morning for the premium subscribers. They also got action for the early afternoon slate in baseball. So subscribing to the premium subscription does help for day slates. Basic subscribers get the afternoon newsletter, which will come out in a couple of minutes. I'm going to dinner tonight, getting a nice Italian meal since there's literally no sports on until 8:30. And then tomorrow, the Knicks are back in action. So, of course, you know me. I'll be at a bar in New York City getting all pumped up for the Knicks to – they'll probably win tomorrow. This is going to 7. Good luck with your bets tonight. For the prep queen, Ariel Epstein, I will see you tomorrow.